Stop me if you've heard this before. The Cardinals are way out of the playoff race. Willson Contreras is down and on the injured list again, but they've somehow got life again at the same time. Are the Cardinals alive? Is there any chance they can come back in this playoff race? We'll talk about all this and more in this episode of Beyond the Cards. Guys, last night I hopped on and I was like, okay, I got to cover the Willson Contreras thing. And I start typing it out and I'm literally like, oh my gosh, it's May all over again. It's like the Cardinals seem dead. Willson Contreras is on the IL, but somehow now they're winning games after that happened too. Like, I'm going to be honest, showing my cards here. I don't think there's enough time for them to turn this around, but I want to go to Andrew first. What was your biggest takeaway from this 3-game set with the Twins? You lost Contreras, obviously you lost the game, but you did take 2 of 3, and that's 2 straight series wins with how bad things feel. Andrew, what's your biggest takeaway from this series?
I mean, my biggest takeaway from the series is this team's not really ready to give it up just quite yet. And they're at a point in the season where they're 5 games back of the Braves. The Braves aren't playing great, and there's a couple of teams that have to leapfrog to get in the playoffs, but kind of only way for them to get in the playoffs is to get a wild card spot at this point. I think the Central's pretty much wrapped itself up. We're 10.5 games back of the Brewers. The Brewers have to completely fall off, and you have to win a lot of games in a row. It just doesn't seem possible at this point anymore, unfortunately. But, I mean, there's some moral victories last week. You really played well against the Dodgers after getting swept by the Reds. Obviously, you dropped 2 out of 3, but the Dodgers are playing like no one can beat them right now, which is pretty scary for the rest of the National League. But, yeah, I think it's definitely possible. It's just going to be really hard. They've done it before. And, yeah, I don't know. I feel like the starting pitching has started to show up a little bit. Sonny Gray looks cooked, though, which is a bit of a problem.
Cooked? I don't know about that.
I mean, I think he's had like 1 or 2 good starts in the last like 6 starts that he's had. And for your number one, that's not really what you want to see. He's not like cooked, but he's not like good right now.
Let's have the Gray conversation at some point because I do think that's important. Yeah. And I see both sides. But Sandy, what was your biggest takeaway from the series?
I don't know. I kind of am with Andrew where it's like they're not ready to just throw in the towel yet. But I'm also with you where it feels like, man, it'd be really hard to get this back. They talk in college football a lot about controlling your destiny, like controlling your own destiny. They'll talk about that the last week of the season in baseball. But they don't start super early in the season because there's so many games like they do in other sports. But for the Cardinals right now, it really does feel like they just don't control their own destiny. Maybe if one of the teams ahead of them like started losing, sure, that might change things up a little bit. But as it stands right now, New York, San Diego, and Arizona have done a lot of winning in the last month. Atlanta's still ahead of you by at least 5 games right now. That's a lot. That's a lot of ground to make up with like 35 games remaining. There's just not a lot of time. So it feels like the Cardinals aren't in control. And the worst part about it is they're not the first team in the race. They're actually behind the Giants now, who've done some winning recently. They're still behind the Mets, like I just said. The Cubs have caught up to them and drawn even. So it's not like they just need one team to scuffle. They need a few. And I think that's the real issue. If it was 5 games, but no one was between them and the wild card, I'd feel a lot better. Because if just one of those 3 teams falls apart, you're in it as long as you keep playing decent baseball. And it's not unreasonable to suspect one of the teams ahead of the Cardinals will fall apart. The problem is they need several to fall apart, and they'd have to have a sustained stretch of quality play. And right now, that just doesn't feel like it's in the cards, especially with the Contreras injury.
Yeah, because you got to be a lot better than the Braves because they have the playoffs spot right now. You got to be better than the Giants. You got to be better than the Mets. You got to be better than the Cubs at this point too. Like that's a lot. So I think that's to your point. It's like if this was early July, then I'm probably feeling like, a little bit more optimistic because like right now it feels like to your point, like they have to have teams ahead of them fail so they don't control their own destiny. Because if one of these teams goes on a score or some kind of tear the rest of the way, like they just don't have a chance, right? Like if the Braves play 600 baseball the rest of the way, or 60, like win 60% of the games, like Cardinals are cooked. There's no chance. So they have to have teams underperform behind them or ahead of them, and they have to be on an insane rager against the rest of the way. Geez, words are hard today. I just don't see it. I don't see how they can do that. I know like all hope is lost in May last time. They lost Contreras and then they fought back. So maybe, who knows, maybe they just need Contreras to be out for them to win. Have you guys ever heard the Patrick Ewing effect? Bill
No,
Simmons
what's
thing.
that?
He's like the New York Knicks could never really win, and then when their star Patrick Ewing went down, then they actually started to play better team basketball. It's like I'm not saying that's Willson Contreras, but like this season, it's like whenever Contreras is out, the Cardinals are like unbeatable. I don't get it. So I'm not saying that's why it shouldn't be it, but I just have a hard time believing with this offense being so anemic, and they're supposed to somehow be able to pull it off now without their best hitter. And I mean, like to Andrew's point earlier, Sonny Gray just hasn't been good enough. Eric Fetty, great start today, but it's mostly been disappointing. Lance Lynn should be back soon. And I mean, that's been whatever. Kyle Gibson's been worse lately. Miles Michaelis again, like his last start was good, but like overall not been good. I just have a hard time believing this team. You also look at their bullpen too. Like Ryan Fernandez just hasn't been it since the All-Star break. Halsey's been pretty good. I think Kittredge for the most part has been, but I don't know. It just feels like a little bit too little too late. And honestly, it's going to frustrate me even more if they get toward the end and they end up finishing like 2 or 3 games back. And it's like, if you would have just made some of these roster moves a month ago instead of keeping Brandon Crawford on the roster, instead of playing Paul Goldschmidt, like notice how Paul Goldschmidt isn't playing every day right now. Like he got another off day. Like he's at least getting 1 off day per series. Like that's a better move. Like there's some of these things where I'm like, they should have just been doing this a month ago whenever you say that this is not gonna work. And I don't know. It just feels like it's too little too late. But Sandy, I mean, or Andrew, you can jump in here too. What if the Cardinals are going to make the playoffs? What's going to be the defining characteristic? What's going to be the thing that gives you, like, if you had to pin your hopes on one thing, is it the fact that the rest of the National League's been so up and down? Is there a part of the team that you really think could carry them the rest of the way? Like, what's the thing that gives you any hope that they can go on some kind of tear?
I think the offense has to just be better. I feel like it's kind of what we said all year, and it's kind of has been better. The situational hitting, like I think overall their numbers with runners in scoring position haven't been any better. I think today, up until that new bar double or whatever it was in the 9th inning, it was horrible. And yesterday, I think you had a lot of chances to break the game open early. You had back-to-back strikeouts with runners at second and third. You had Victor Scott getting picked off at third base. Just mistakes in those big spots that you really needed to get out ahead. And it just didn't happen. But like in the really big spots, like the Nolan Arenado grand slam, the new bar double today, there's been a little bit more life in some of those aspects. I think hitting with runners in scoring position is really the thing that they need to rely on. And I don't think this team is like a bottom 10 all-time team with runners in scoring position. It just doesn't seem like that. So I feel like some regression, like obviously that's what it is right now, but like, you know, just getting back to a few games over 500 and going on a run. Obviously this is not the schedule you want to go on a run against, but also if the Cardinals had a prolonged run against the White Sox, the Angels, the A's, and the like Marlins, they would have like a 500 run, and it'd be like, oh, okay, well, so this team seems to just play its best baseball against. Like, it doesn't really matter who this team is playing because they lost 2 out of 3 to the White Sox.
It's true.
And they swept the Orioles. So I don't really know. I'm done playing the schedule game. It doesn't really matter at this point. But yeah, I think if they just regress a little bit to the norms with runners in scoring position, they're going to win a lot more games. I think if they were like not a bottom 10 team, like maybe even like a bottom 100 team all time with runners in scoring position, they'd probably be within like 2 to 3 games of a playoff spot. You know, like this is just how the team has been recently. And it's just like 1 or 2 more hits with runners in scoring position in a big spot means you win 1 or 2 more games, right? Like it's really frustrating.
No, I think that's actually a really good point because we've talked about all year how many close games this team plays, and it's still happening. Like they get blown out occasionally, but for the most part, they're playing 1, 2, 3 run games at most. And it's like, well, if you don't go 1 for 12, if you go 2 for 12 or 3 for 12 for running scoring position, like you'll win those games. And so like that is a pretty good argument about how they could potentially flip this on its heel without even looking all that much better. It's just like instead of being historically bad in one of the most important spots in all of the game, and that's when you have runners in scoring position, you're like not as historically bad. Like Andrew, like you said, if they're in the hundreds instead of 14th all worst all time, they're like 150th all time. They might be in a playoff spot right now, which is crazy.
It's still really bad. Like there's so many teams. There's so many teams since then. That's absurd.
They were 1 for 4 runners in scoring position today. So like improvement, kind of.
No, and like listen to the numbers. I texted this to you guys like earlier this week, so it's changed a little bit. But it's crazy how awful they are. I said this a few days ago, so again, they might not be right. But like since winning that series against Tampa, after that they went 9 for their next 60 with runners in scoring position.
Jeez.
In that series, a series they won, they went 6 for 27. That's good for a 222 average, which like that's not particularly good either. And over the 5 games before that series, they went 3 for 32. Altogether, that's 18 for 119. That's 151. And that's almost a 20-game sample. If you look at this series, they're 3 for 20. They're basically a 150 team with runners in scoring position. Like it's genuinely absurd how bad they are. They are worse with runners in scoring position than the White Sox are. The White Sox just lost their 100th game.
It's so bad.
They lost game number 100 today, and it's August.
It's so bad. Oh, boy. Yeah, I mean, that's the argument, right? I don't even think you can. I mean, you could say the bullpen could be a little bit better, but bullpen's more of a defensive unit, right? Like it keeps you in games. But at the end of the day, like if you're down a run, the offense has to produce at some point. If you're going to win that game, the bullpen doesn't matter if it's lights out the rest of the way. If you're already down 1-0, the rotation you could argue could be better, and so maybe that scrapes and claws. But yeah, it's that runners in scoring position side of things, and it is nice to see a Nolan Arenado heating up this past since July 1st. He's like a 850 OPS. He's looked not necessarily Nolan Arenado, but more like Nolan, that's for sure. Newt's looked at least better the last few games, and honestly, I think if there's one player in this lineup you can point to besides Arenado, since he has already kind of heated up, but if you look at it would probably be a large new part, right? I feel like he's the one guy because I don't think at this point it's worth pointing to Paul Goldschmidt as a guy that can kind of heat up. I'm kind of out on that at this point, but I feel like Newt's a guy that I still every time he's up, I still have some confidence. It just isn't working out. And I feel like the at-bats have been better lately, so hopefully there's some improvement there. But I do think we should get into the Sonny Gray conversation because there's a lot of debate about, like, obviously the results are bad. Like, you can't question that. But, like, there's a lot of underlying metrics that I still think makes him look like kind of like the guy you hoped he would be. So it's just super confusing to me. But before we do that, I want to thank a sponsor of our podcast is 314 Sports Cards and Collectibles. They're located on 9640 Olive Boulevard in Olivet, and they're open 10 to 5 Monday through Friday, 9 to 4 on Saturdays, and they buy, sell, and trade sports trading cards and Pokemon cards. So if you want to check them out for individual cards, packs, box sets, all of those things, go check out 314 Sports Cards, active on Instagram. And we actually have a fun little thing we're going to do here. So Andrew, how can we add them to the stage here? We're going to do a little pack opening from courtesy of 314. So Andrew's got some packs on them. Andrew, tell us about the packs. Oh, you're muted.
We got some Top Series 2 with Juan Soto on the front. We got 14 cards. And then we got Topps Chrome with Ellie De La Cruz. I don't know why he's on the cover of that, but, there it is. So we're going to start. I guess we're going to start off with this one. Let's see if we got something good. Sandy, what do we get?
Let us know in the chat if you guys collect trading cards, baseball cards.
Look at that. We got some, it's a little bit blurry, but Wade Meckler.
Maybe try holding it closer to the table, like put them on the table.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a little better.
Giants rookie.
Pablo Reyes. Okay.
That's cool. That's good.
Okay. Yeah. Jeff McNeil.
My a guy in my small group played mini golf with him during spring training because his buddy's a prospect in the Mets organization. Granky, future Cardinal. Look at that.
Yeah.
I have no idea who Matthew Baton is.
I don't know. Weston Wilson, he's just been tearing out for the cycle.
There you go. Who's that? Oh, Orion.
Yeah. He throws pretty hard. Yeah. Nice. Ross Stripling, future Cardinal, maybe.
If only he was Mason Miller.
Oh, that's good.
Decent.
It's actually a really good pull.
Brian Abreu.
Oh,
John Schreiber.
Tyler O'Neill would have been great.
These have a lot of cards.
Oh,
Severino. You got this Bo Bichette, something covering the field. I don't know what this is.
Bo Bichette on the trade market.
Jose Ramirez.
Wow. Yeah, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, this is nice.
Nice.
And then we got this one with Ellie De La Cruz. I don't know. Again, why is he on here?
Hey, he is an MVP candidate right now.
It's
funny that they got the MVP and we got busts.
Yeah. Kodai Senga.
Oh, okay.
He's been hurt. Devin Williams.
Devin Williams.
Thanks, Devin.
Thanks, Devin.
For,
Thanks, Devin, for the set.
Thanks, Devin, for getting healthy and being good.
No, Devin almost handed us 2 and Jacob deGrom. That's pretty cool.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Nice.
Thanks, Risp.
Thanks, 314.
Thanks, 314.
Thanks, 314.
So, if you want to get your own sports cards, you want to buy individual cards, maybe there's a certain player you're looking for, maybe you want some packs, you enjoy doing that, box sets, all that kind of stuff, make sure to check out 314 Sports Cards. You can find them on Instagram. They post a lot of their like special cards that they have in stock if you want to keep up with that, or just let them know we sent you if you check them out in person. So, okay, let's do the Sonny Gray conversation, right? I believe his ERA is over 4 now. So that's pretty tough. I need to pull up some more of his advanced metrics because I think I don't know what his FIP is now, but before entering yesterday's start, I think it was still in the low 3s. So Sonny Gray's is striking out over 11 batters per 9 innings. Or his FIP is 3.34. His xFIP is 281. Like you go on Baseball Savant and you look at this guy, and he's got one of the best strikeout percentages in all baseball. He's in the upper third and whiff percentage, upper third and walk percentage. His expected ERA and stuff like that's like kind of average, but not bad. Like it's a stinking home run rate. And something that we should have known, and I think we all kind of acknowledged coming into the year, is that he had historically low home run rate last year. So that was going to regress. We knew that was going to happen. He already has given up more home runs than 2022 and 2023 combined. And I do think there's some things that's worth looking at. Like Brendan brought this up on when we did our Friday podcast, because I was like, oh, throw Lance Lynn out of the rotation. Easy. And he's like, well, hold up. He's like, look at his starts. And it's like, when you give up 10 runs in one start, it inflates your ERA. Like Lance Lynn actually was a little bit better than I thought he had been. And I kind of think that, again, lately Sonny Gray has not been good. But I do think some of his overall numbers have been inflated by he gave up 4 home runs against the Phillies in one game. I think he's given up 3 home runs in 2 different games. He's given up 2 home runs in a couple games. Like, again, I'm not trying to defend Sonny Gray and say he's been good, but I do think some of like the ERA stuff has been inflated to a little bit of a point. But regardless, I'm doing a little bit defending here, but regardless, it hasn't been good enough. I mean, you can make the argument that it doesn't matter what his underlying metrics looks like. All you really care about is the performance and the numbers that matter, which is what runs you're giving up, which runs you aren't. You can also make the argument it doesn't matter if he looks better. Like, who's to say next year he's going to have the same stuff? Like, he will be a year older and he's going to make 15 million more that year. He'll be on 25 million the year after. He's going to be paid 30 million. Like, can you trust that? I personally think I think Gray is a lot better than what his ERA shows right now, but he's probably pitching more like a number 2 starter, which again, most people, I wasn't against people saying he's a number 2 starter. What I was against was like vehemently against was people who were like, he's a number 3. That was just one of the dumbest arguments. I still think it's ridiculous. Again, Ace, I thought he qualified as it. I until recently have confidence when Sonny Gray goes on the mound against anyone in baseball. I just think he can match up with them, and that's to me what an ace can do. Again, your definition might be different than mine, but people that like pitchers that people throw out as they're an ace, like, well, Sonny Gray outpitched them for a while. Like, so it's kind of hard for me. I don't know. Well, Andre Palante has been the best starter in the rotation for a while. Gray's ERA since Palante entered in was like 4.71. I think that was even before yesterday's start. I don't know, like, Sandy, you're the Sonny Gray apologist here. Like, what's your concern?
Could you repeat that real quick? I think you cut out a little bit.
What's your concern level of Sonny Gray?
I don't know. Like you're saying, there's a lot of good and a lot of bad, and it's really hard to kind of parse through those. I want to push back against the idea that it's only his home run rate, though, because like while his home run rate's high, he's up to 1.3 per 9. That's not like insanely high. We're not talking about like what Andrew thought Shota Imanaga's home run rate was going to be over here. And it's weird that his FIP is his FIP is still low, and normally a home run rate really impacts FIP. I think it's just that across the board, he's regressed this year compared to other years. Like his hits per 9 is up 0.5. Like that's not negligible. His walk rate's up a little bit. I know his strikeout rate's significantly up compared to the past, but when your home run rate and your hit rate both raise slightly, your walk rate jumps up, it just makes you kind of a worse pitcher. Like his whip, But then there's some things that just make no sense. Like his whip is down. I don't understand.
He does have the third highest fly ball to home run rate in baseball right now.
Yeah, that's true. It feels like he's not allowing a ton of fly balls, but when people are pulling the ball in the air, it's leaving the yard against him. Maybe that's a better way to put it, I guess.
Yeah.
Yamanaga has a higher home run rate, by the way. Just wanted to.
Oh, really? But then like Gray, like strikeout percentage, Chris Sale leads all baseball. Tyler Glasnow, Dylan Cease, Sonny Gray, Tarek Skubal. His strikeout to walk percentage is fourth best in all of baseball.
Why do we have the guy in that group who can't stop giving up home runs? Also, like, explain this to me. He pitches in Cincinnati and limits home runs in Cincinnati, and then comes here and can't stop giving them up. Like, what is this?
Yeah.
I feel like when he just misses really badly. Like the home run he gave up to Shohei Ohtani was a curveball right down the middle. It's like, I don't know what you expect out of that. Like, Brandon Crawford could probably hit that one out. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't like, because I had someone tag me the other day and was like, but Josh said Sonny Gray's stuff is really good. I'm like, well, the dude is a 74th percentile chase rate, 92nd percentile strikeout rate. He's not a walking guy. He's like, when you watch the home runs he gives up, it feels like almost every time it's like he hung a cutter up in the zone and someone destroyed it, or it's a fastball right down the middle, or like he left the sweeper over the plate and it's like
crushed.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, if anyone leaves a sweeper right there, it's going to get crushed. I'm like, I don't know. I can't explain why he's doing that. That's baffling to me. But it's like, then he locks, like, and how many times have we seen him this year go like 3 perfect innings to start a game and he's untouchable? And then the fourth inning, he comes out there and it's like, oh, little dribbler. Oh, he walks someone, boom, like slider right down the middle, sweeper right down the middle, gets crushed. And it's 3-0. And it's like, what just happened? Like, so that's where I think like Sonny Gray is such a weird case to me here, where I have full confidence that it's going to get better while also being extremely disappointed what it's been so far. Like there's so many Cardinals on this roster right now where I get like a Paul Goldschmidt. I don't really have any reason to tell you he's going to be better. Like, I just don't. And like, I'm out on it. But like Sonny Gray, I don't understand it. It's so weird.
It's crazy that his WAR is down to 1.1 on the season. Like,
Gray's
that's just, according to Baseball Reference.
Oh, I was going to get F4. F4 is 2.9.
Yeah, but like his B-WAR is down to 1.1 on the season. That's nuts.
I think B-WAR uses runs per 9, and for WAR and Fangraphs uses FIP. I could be wrong, so you can correct me. So if that's the case, that's probably why. But so it is frustrating, because it's like I also like don't really have much of an argument against the people who are like, see, told you about Sonny Gray. I'm like, it's kind of like the offense thing. Like I've said, people who said the offense was a concern, you were right. I just think you're right for like the weirdest reasons. Like,
yeah, I don't think the process was there. It's just you ended up being right.
Yeah, I'm like, sure, you're right. The Sonny Gray has not been good enough, but like he definitely looks the part in almost every way. He just has this like, it's literally the Cardinals offense. It's like he looks the part in so many ways, except for this obnoxiously bad stat that is destroying him, and it's his home run rate. It's like the Cardinals offense. It's like, well, in theory, it's got a lot of the pieces, but then like it can't score with runners in scoring position. So it's like it doesn't matter. So I don't know. I don't know what to do about it. The thing that frustrates me is like I don't see them going out and getting a starter better than him. Right?
They literally have to. I'm sorry, but the optics, if you don't at this point, are just, you have to. And there are guys available this offseason. You have to go out and do it. You don't have to sign Burns. Like, it's fine. I think the Cardinals should sign Burns. I'll scream it from the rooftops until he signs somewhere else. The Cardinals should definitely just throw the money at him and then trade Arenado for nothing. Get rid of Goldschmidt. Like, salary dump as much as you need to go get an ace. They're not going to do it. It's fine. But like Max Fried's going to be available, and he's going to be more affordable than Burns. Other guys are going to be out there. You have got to go get somebody to put at the top of your rotation, and they're not going to. It's actually ridiculous. If anything, the lesson they learned from the Sonny Gray thing right now should be like, yeah, I mean, we went out and got the guy that we thought was available for us at the top of our price range, but that wasn't good enough. That's what they need to realize. Like, this wasn't enough.
Yeah.
As much as I love Sonny Gray,
the premier free agent I wanted didn't end up signing here. So
okay,
to
the shock of no one,
never pitches again. I just want that to be known. I just want to say that on this show. There's a solid chance he's a DH for life.
He just throw a bullpen today?
Yesterday, like he threw a bullpen yesterday.
Yeah, he can throw a couple bullpens or whatever, but I tend to think that it's unlikely you get another 150 inning pitched, 600 plate appearance Shohei Ohtani campaign.
He's about to go 50-50, Sandy, but that's okay.
Yeah.
He's
I do
DH
think
who runs a lot.
if there's a bigger thing I want to take from this, like in terms of what I've learned, because I think you bring up a good point, Sandy. It's like this is probably the top end of what they would ever do, at least under this regime for a starting pitcher. It also screams to me too. It's like when you only have one guy who could potentially qualify as an elite starting pitcher, it's like that's not good enough, because even some of the best starting pitchers in baseball have down years. They have these weird years where the home run ball just continues to bite them. Like I just looked at Aaron Nola, and it's like every other year he's good. And like he's a guy that people say is a frontline starter. And it's like, I mean, or guys get hurt too, right? Like, so you're honestly lucky that Sonny Gray's only missed a few starts this year, because you look around the game of baseball and it's like, obviously Lance Lynn's missed a couple, Sonny Gray's missed a couple, Steven Matz has been down a lot, but there are rotations out there that are on like their 12th starter right now.
Look at the Tigers.
That's
who's healthy outside of Tariq Skubal?
Or like the Dodgers. It's like we looked at, remember that when we were trying to talk ourselves into the Cardinals potentially being one of the best teams in the National League, and we looked at their rotation, it was like James Paxton was their best healthy starter at that moment. Like the Cardinals, I like the fact that going into next year, well, I don't like Miles Michaelis being in the group, but I like the fact that Quinn Matthews at some point I think would be a factor. McGreevy should be a factor. Andre Palante should be a factor. At some point maybe you got to see what Graceffo can be as a depth option for you. But like I just named like 4 guys, and at least 2 or 3 of those could be depth ones. That should be like you don't need. I don't think you need to go have 5 veteran starters in your rotation this time around. I think Andre Palante should take one of those spots. I think you should decline the options on like a Lyndon Gibson, right? You should try and trade Steven Matz. And then to your point, Sandy, go out and get the Max Fried. Go out and get whoever that is. But we just know that's probably not what they're going to do. Would you guys be open, like with how it's hard to say because of how bad this lineup's been. So actually, I personally don't really see a trade out there, but like in a theoretical scenario, if you can take one of those young bats you have, not named Jordan Walker, Mason Wynn, like, and probably not Alec Burleson, but if you could take Nootbaar and other pieces, if you can take Gorman and other pieces and go out and get a young starter that you really like, if they're not going to spend, are you to the point where it's worth doing that? Or do you think like, hey, if they're not going to spend, you roll the dice on Gray, Fetty, Michaelis, Palante, and then you hope Quinn Matthews is like really good next year? Like, I don't know. What's the move, Sandy?
I'm tired of rolling the dice. Like I would do it. And I would just think, look at the lineup this year. The Cardinals obviously can't bank on offense being the thing. Like if we really sit here and think about it, since 2015, the Cardinals have had a terrible offense almost every year. The only year that they've had a good offense is 2022. It was fine last year. Like the 2023 Cardinals had an okay offense. And if they had that offense right now, they'd be a playoff team.
Yeah.
But
I mean, if they had a league average offense this year, they'd be a playoff team.
Yeah, but they don't. And they haven't had a good offense in basically any of those years. It's crazy how bad it's been. And so, yeah, you know what? I'm not going to bet on the young bats next year at this point. Like, this has been – I don't think – if you had asked me, like, what is the floor for Nolan Gorman this year, I think I would have said it was better than this, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't think this is below what I would have said, like, his first percentile outcome would have been. Like, top 3 strikeout rate all time, AAA in August. What? Like, least clutch hitter basically ever this year. Like Jordan Walker sent up and called up and sent down twice. Victor Scott unplayable. Like I wouldn't have had these. Come on, let's be real.
Until recently.
Okay, fine.
Second stint has been good.
It's been fine.
It's the first.
I'm not going to say good. I'm going to say fine. I like Victor Scott, but like unplayable at the beginning of the year. Even Brendan Donovan, Lars Nootbaar has an OPS at 700 this year. That is, I mean, he's a guy who you think about, like, normally he's got a 375 on base. Like 700 should be way below his floor. That's a 325 slug. Now, granted, this year he hasn't gotten on base like he normally does, but that's terrible. That's just awful. So all these guys have been way worse than I ever could have imagined. And it's like, I'm not going to bet on all of them next year. So trade who you want at this point, Cardinals, and go get proven talent because the pipeline is not working.
I do think maybe a hitting coach could make a difference. Hey, since Victor Scott's come back, 74 WRC plus. Hey, that's like Michael Ciani. We were singing Michael Ciani's praises when he was doing that.
Ciani's a much better defender right now.
It's true.
Well, but I do think he's a terrible base runner.
Not terrible.
He every time got picked off on third yesterday in a huge spot.
But Ciani, with the speed that he has, he never steals the base. He always gets caught stealing, and it's really frustrating.
Is that his fault, or is that the coaching staff's fault for sending him at inopportune times?
Well, other players steal bases.
Hey, Victor Scott should ask Tommy Pham how to handle being on third base.
Yeah.
Gosh, that was brutal.
Didn't Tommy Pham get picked off by John Lester back in the day too?
Oh, yeah, he did when John Lester couldn't throw to first. It was so bad. Oh, my gosh. But, yeah, Pham's thing at third base the other day was horrible.
Yeah, it was really bad.
For a guy that comes in and acts like he needs to fire up the clubhouse and everyone, yeah, that was bad. So, and he just kind of sat there and was like, what happened? And I'm like, dude, okay. Own the fact that you were lazy on the way back.
It's terrible.
But, oh, man. Well, yeah, that's kind of where we're at with things. So, hey, if you do believe in the club, which again, I don't, but I'm going to watch them and I'm going to have fun. And at this point, don't look at the standings, just win games and then figure it out later. I'm still going to watch them. But if you want to go to a game, use code NEWS on SeatGeek. You can save $20 off a purchase, $50 or more. Tickets are pretty cheap right now, so you could actually get some really good tickets for $50. Or if you want to go in on tickets with a friend. And again, we all love to save money, right? So we know many of you have already used this code already. And so you can talk about the savings that you've gotten. And if you want to get savings yourself, again, use code NEWS on SeatGeek. $20 off your first purchase of $50 or more. Football season's right around the corner. So if you want to go to college football, Mizzou football, Andrew likes to make fun of me that I'm a Caleb Williams supporter. So Caleb Williams, you want to go watch the future rookie of the year. He's going to lead the Bears to the playoffs, maybe even the Super Bowl this year. Go watch Caleb Williams. Name who's a good NFC team right now. Tell me.
Two other teams in your division, the Packers and Lions. Come on.
We have the better quarterback.
Come on, Chief. Jordan Love's pretty good. Jared Goff had a career year.
I'm not a Super Bowl guy, but I'm not. Well, the Bears are not Super Bowl guys. I'm not going on the Super Bowl train, but I am on the Bears to the playoffs train. Anyways, hey, you got to start somewhere. All right. Yeah, also, Jordan Love was terrible in the first half. Then he was amazing in the second half. So we'll see what's real. That's
cool. Said that when he traded with the White Sox, he used code NEWS for them to give him $20 in cash considerations.
That's great. Yeah, he subverted his own ticket system. So yes, if you want to go to a game, you want to go to a Bears game, you want to go to a concert, anything, use our code NEWS on SeatGeek to get $20 off your purchase. Okay, so looking ahead, they play the. Are we gonna have? Okay, actually, I want to get you guys' opinion. Do you think there's gonna be signs at the stadium that are like pro Mike Schilt signs for this Padres series?
I really hope not. That's just a dumb take.
I just have a feeling there's gonna be something that comes up where people are gonna be like chanting his name or something. Oh no, what happened?
According to Robert Murray, the Pirates have placed Michael A. Taylor on waivers.
Oh. Remember at the beginning of the season when everyone was mad the Cardinals didn't grab Michael A. Taylor? Oh, boy.
The Cardinals, honestly, being in this position, could be in position to take some guys on waivers.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know why they would need Michael A. Taylor, though.
Not Michael A. Taylor, but like other guys.
Yeah, you could see something like that. But, I mean, okay, here, let me throw a scenario. If the Cardinals win 3 of 4 against the Padres this week, Andrew, what is your opinion of this team?
That they're back. I don't know.
You really think you'd call them back if they did that?
It depends on how the Braves play. If the Braves, they're playing the Twins. If the Twins take 2 or 3 from the Braves and we take 3 or 4 from that's a lot of ifs. But
yeah,
I don't know. I feel like being within 3 games. I mean, here's the thing, right? If this trade deadline was tomorrow, we'd be like, yeah, we're sellers, right? I would say that's a move that we should do. But the trade deadline's passed, so there's nothing you can do. You might as well just run your team out there and see what happens. So yeah, I feel like there's enough talent on this team to make a run. But they need to start like making a run, right? Like they need to like instead of just like winning series, you need to like sweep series. Like I don't know, the Padres are not playing as well as they have been in the past the last couple of weeks, but I don't know. It's gonna be tough.
Sandy, what about you? If they win 3 of 4, how you feeling about the team?
Yeah, if they win 3 or 4, sure. Like you're 2 games above 500 again, and you're back in the like, oh, maybe we're 3 games out at the end of the series feeling. Sorry, I'm absorbed by this football discussion in the comments. I'm reliving my glory days as a college freshman. I saw Caleb Williams get absolutely stomped by Baylor's defense. It was so fun. We were
the highlight of Baylor University's.
Hey, we won the Sugar Bowl. We won the Sugar Bowl that year. Okay, we beat Ole Miss in the Sugar Bowl. Finished the season ranked 5th in the AP poll. So thank you very much.
Well, just remind me in the offseason in like January to come back to this Caleb Williams conversation. Okay.
Yeah, he'll probably be really good. I know. I like him. I'm targeting him late in fantasy drafts if he's available.
There's like this other Chicago rookie that I was really down on, Sandy. And if you don't want him to be good, then I don't think you should say these words.
Oh gosh. Oh man.
Gavin Sheets.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, that's the one. Eric Fetty, actually. I didn't think he was going to be any good.
Yeah, but I don't know. I would love for them to win 3 of 4. It's just not going to happen. Like, I don't think it's even a realistic conversation right now. If it happens, great. It's just like for me, I guess I just keep coming back. Like every game I tune into, and I see like the Cardinals have scored 3 runs in the last 2 games total because they got shut out and then put up 3 today, which should very rarely be enough to win the game, right? It's terrible. Every single game, I just come back to like, I can't believe the offense is this bad. And I can't believe it's the offense that's holding this team back. Like there's so much talent. There are veterans that have been there before and that have done it. There are guys that are established stars, like Newt should be that. Gorman should be that. And there are young guys that are coming up. And actually, the young guys are hitting well. Burleson and Wynn. Like, if you told me you were going to get these performances from Burleson, Wynn, and Herrera when he's been here, I'd be like, wow, we're set. Like, this is a top 10, top 5 team in the league.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Instead, you're looking at a team that's like 28th, to be honest. It's that bad. It's so bad. Every single game, it's terrible. Yeah. And I don't know. So I don't have any belief in them right now because the offense is just bad. And the sample's so big now. Like when it was just April, I could be like, okay, weird stuff happening, injuries, Siani playing every day. But now, I mean, it's just bad. And Contreras isn't even playing. And he's your whole team offensively. Like, who else provides any power? Who else does anything with runners in scoring position? So I have no idea. I don't bet any of these guys will rebound. Like Nolan Gorman is not going to be a productive hitter for this team if he comes back up at this point. Jordan Walker is not going to be a big part of September 2024. I can't imagine that Paul Goldschmidt's going to like turn it on down the stretch. Look at how he finished last year.
Yeah. In the year before, 2022's MVP campaign, he almost lost it.
Yeah, because he played so terribly in September. I can't imagine that Pedro Pajes is like going to turn it on and be this power threat down the stretch. I just don't know where the answers come from. That's the thing. Like if we skipped ahead and you were like, hey, the Cardinals made the playoffs, I would be like, did the world end? Like seriously, what else could have happened? Did a volcano erupt and erase other teams? I can't see. I don't know.
Other teams.
I don't know how it would happen.
Yeah, a volcano erupted on the West Coast and wiped out the Diamondbacks and the Padres. So
and that's literally all I can think of. That would be more plausible than Goldschmidt having a good September.
You heard it here first from Sandy. Oh my gosh.
I'm if you can't figure it out, like I'm really upset with the way things have trended offensively. Because I like watching good offenses, and I haven't gotten to do that with the Cardinals in the better part of a decade. And that just stinks. We've had one good offensive year. Seriously, like what other year has the offense been fun to watch at all?
Last decade. So that's 2014 because I would have said 2013.
2015. I would give you 2015. Like Alan Craig, Linsanity run with runners in scoring position.
Wait, I thought that was 2013.
That was 2013. You're so right. Who was the catalyst?
He almost had a 500 on base percentage.
He was
runners in scoring position.
He was
insane. Also,
when
I was looking for the numbers, how bad the Cardinals are. They were like top 15 all time that year with runners in scoring position. So it's like how good the Cardinals were in 2013 with runners in scoring position is how bad they are with runners in scoring position.
Except they're worse. They're worse than that. Like the absolute value.
Oh man.
But it's name a year, I guess. Here's a better way to put it. Name a year outside of 2022 where the Cardinals weren't just riddled with major disappointments offensively. Like 2019, Paul Goldschmidt was just not that good in his
2021, kind of.
It was fine.
He had the O'Neal breakoff, and he had Dylan Carlson finished top 3 rookie of the year. So that's pretty good.
But you had like underperforming Arenado that I would say was a big disappointment. Ozuna was already gone at that point.
Yeah, Ozuna was gone.
Ozuna 2019 was disappointing.
Yeah.
Carpenter 2017, low-key Carpenter 2019, Carpenter 2021 was awful.
Yeah. I think Cleveland made 2 really good points in here. Is first of all, Twins that looked. I mean, this Twins team does not look good to me right now. Like I know their record's good, but did you like look at their lineup card every day? I'm like, besides Royce Lewis, was
Edward
not scared.
I like Julian a lot.
Yeah, Julian, but he was batting like 8th for them, and which like again, I just think anyway their lineup was just not scary. They had 2 rookies starting who had made less than 10 starts between. Like each of them had made less than 10 starts in their career. And Pablo Lopez hasn't even been good this year and diced them up. I know the Twins bullpen is really good though, but again, I just don't really trust this. And again, I've also not been a believer in the Brewers all year, so like they have too big of a lead to catch at this point. But I'm like, you take 2 or 3 for the Brewers, I'm kind of like, well, I think the Brewers are frauds. So I should kind of not. I feel like I can't overhype this stretch at all. And then also to his point, what do we think Herrera will start at catcher? I think it's probably gonna be pretty split between him and Pages the rest of the time.
I don't know why.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like Contreras played every day, so I'm not super surprised by that. But I mean, the nice thing is you're not going to have a day where like, well, I mean, you liked when Contreras was DHing, but you just have one of the 2 of them DH probably, and then I guess Carp or Baker will DH based off of
DHing Pages is crazy.
Oh man. So I mean, Ryan Helsley will have to get to 50 saves if they want to make the playoffs. It feels like at this rate. So,
well, he's got 40, right?
Yeah.
What's the Cardinals record? 48 from Rosenthal in 2015?
Something like that.
Something like that.
I think got to 48 maybe. But the fact that he did that in 100 wins.
Yeah.
And you're talking about Helsley potentially getting there in like 85 is crazy.
Insane. Maybe we finish with this one because I think we are pretty running along. We can there's some of these conversations we have for next time. But Neilio, again, thanks for the membership as always, man. Really appreciate you. But good question here. Do you guys ever see Gorman ever becoming what most have expected him to be, or maybe something similar to that after descending so far a hitter? I have my doubts for sure. Andrew, what's your confidence level that Nolan Gorman will? Well, I guess what was our expectations? Because some people thought he's gonna be like a MVP, and I'm like, I don't know if I ever thought that.
I thought that was possible. Like, I don't know.
What about like a Kyle Schwarber?
Yeah, that seems like his ceiling. I don't know. These guys are so frustrating. I feel like if you fire Turner Ward, then I'll be a little bit more confident. I feel like that should be like the first move that they make this offseason. That should be the first move that they make tomorrow.
How is he still here?
But like, yeah, I don't know. It's really frustrating with these left-handed bats. Yeah. Nolan Gorman, I hope he starts figuring out in AAA, but I hope he doesn't have his hot stretch in AAA because I want to take advantage of that.
Yeah. So. I mean, Neilio, like he was on pace for 30 home runs this year until it like really tapered off. So like I think it's really, I mean, even with Gorm not being what we thought he could be, I think he's easily a 30 home run hitter. So like, I think the question is, can he be a 30, 35 home run guy, 40 home run guy with like not horrible on base and average? And I do think that's possible. I mean, we saw last year him do that in every single month except for May and August, like April, June, July, September, March, April. Like he was awesome. So like, but I mean, there is an argument that pitchers start to figure you out a little bit. So like it remains to be seen, but I haven't lost my confidence that he can be really good. I just think he's coming up on a turning point moment. Like he's not nearly at the point of Dylan Carlson yet where you have to dump him, but like he's trending toward like that crossroads of, hey, Gorman, are you going to figure it out here? Or are you going to be quote unquote a bust. But Sandy, what's your like confidence level of Gorm going forward?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely lower than it was just because it's like, man, this really stinks. Like you hate to see it look the way it does right now. But I'm not like, oh, I'm totally out on Gorman as a player. I'm not going to call him a bust yet. Because like you said, last year he was an awesome hitter. And if he could just do that every year, like he'd be a real middle of the order bat. And you expect players as they get older to get better. Like you adjust to the league, your timing improves. Baseball is a game that takes years to master, even once you reach the big leagues. I think we forget how hard it is to be 23 at the major league level. Also, it's not like he's the only player who has a lot of potential having a down year. Like I just pulled up Julio Rodriguez's stats. I'm not going to say they're the same player at all, but like he's got an OPS plus that dipped below 100 this year. That's crazy coming from a guy that
Carroll's not been good.
What'd you say?
Corbin Carroll's been bad too.
Yeah, Corbin Carroll has not been great at all. But like think about J-Rod. This is a guy that people were like, oh my gosh, he's the next Ken Griffey. And he had a 147 OPS plus his rookie season. And then it dropped to 130 last year, and now it's down to 98. Like, that's a real fall off, and that's really hurt the Mariners. And that's something where it's like, it's not crazy to think that Gorman's having that kind of down year. Unfortunately for him, as a streaky hitter, the down year is much worse. You really hope it can be better than that. Yeah, Cody pulling up Helio Ramos. That's another good pull. Like, guys take time to adjust. It's just a bummer. It's kind of weird. Also, like we forget that development's not linear. I think that's something we forget. Like development's often non-linear, and that means you have good stretches and bad stretches, and at times you look like a can't miss MVP candidate for the future, and at other times you look like you may not even be a big league regular. Unfortunately, right now Gorman looks like he can't be a regular at the moment. I don't think that means that he's going to be terrible for the rest of his career. I think it's going to be good for him to just put this year behind him. Although the Cardinals, like they're not helping him, I guess is kind of how it feels. They're not helping any of these young hitters. The longer you keep Turner Ward employed, I just don't understand it. I don't know how he wasn't fired 2 weeks ago. I don't know how he wasn't fired 2 months ago. This is like gotta be, if not the worst offense in the league, because it's not the worst offense. The White Sox are worse. It's the worst offense relative to preseason expectations.
Yeah. Like
find a more disappointing offense. I think it's really hard.
It's got to be this one for sure. I mean, you look at Gorm last year, like it's not like he had a good strikeout rate last year. It was 32%, and he still was almost 20% above league average at the plate. 478 slug. He hit 27 home runs in 119 games. Like I just think Gorm's already shown, and that's at age 23. Like I think Gorm's shown the ability already. It doesn't, but like your point, like progression and development isn't linear, so it doesn't necessarily mean that Gorman is going to find a way to get better. Like sometimes there's these young guys who come out, have a really good season earlier in their career, and they never find it again. That could be Gorm, but I do think he'll figure it out at some point. Even if he gets that strikeout rate down closer to 30%, like his BABIP this year, which I don't think, I mean, I'm not trying to act like BABIP's been his problem. Like he had a BABIP of 301 in 2022, 296 in 2023, 279 in 2024. So like if he gets a little more BABIP luck, that's helpful too. But I just think we've already seen him in his first full season be close to 20% above league average. He's 20% below league average above league average last year, below league average this year. I just think there's a world where he gets back to that, but he's got to figure this out. So it's funny because I think I blame myself that Gorm has been this bad because I posted a dumb article where I was like, hey, I think we overstate how streaky Nolan Gorman is. Well, honestly, I think it's still a good take because he hasn't even been streaky. He's just been bad. Like this isn't a streak. This is like this dude like fell off the face of the earth. So I'm like, but yeah, it has aged pretty bad. But he's like, hey, hold my beer. Instead of being streaky, I'm just gonna be bad. So I'm like, great, thanks, Gorm. So
could be one long streak.
Yeah, it'd be really nice if he comes up and does that. I miss the days where our chat could just go Gorm, and it's like you knew he did something clutch, and it's like, no.
I haven't Gormed a lot this year.
Gormed a lot this year. I think we should end on
Max Moroff or Goldie in 2024 with runners and scoring.
Oh gosh.
Oh, I'm sorry, that was really funny.
Do you know Ali Sanchez had like a 200 OPS plus with the
Goldie in scoring position, or Goldie with RISP is literally like Pete Kozma, but at age 45.
Oh man, I used to be so annoyed every time Pete Kozma came to the plate. I still think it's one of the most Cardinals things of all time that one of their best comebacks ever was led by Daniel Descalso and Pete Kozma. It's like
2012 Game 5. I'll never forget.
It's just insane. Anyways, well, thanks for tuning in as always. We really appreciate the support. Again, if this is your first time, subscribe. We go live on Sundays and Wednesdays. We have a Friday Q&A. We'll have some guests on again soon, which is fun. Like the stream, it helps out a ton. So if you're listening now, hit that like button, share with your friends. And yeah, we'll be talking about a pretty good series against the Padres this week. So we'll see you guys on Wednesday.
Thanks, Turner.